So this is a story which comes from Japan, and Japan has about 400,000 years of known history. So this is from Japan, so I just want to acknowledge that, where it's from. And it's called Amaterasu. In the time before time, when chaos reigned and nothing was named, the divine was born. Earth and sky split, and 6 pairs of divine creatures were formed. One of those pairs, Izanagi and Izanami, were there to create the land. And their job was to reach down with a beautiful jewelled spear into the ocean and draw up the land. And they made the land, the rivers, the valleys, the mountains, the streams. They worked together for a long time, to get really well together for a long time, until they had a fight. And in his anger, Izanagi walked away from Izanami, and he went down to the stream and he stripped off his layers, one layer at a time, and on each layer came a spirit. And then he reached into his eye, and his left eye, and he created the sun goddess Amaterasu. With his right, he made the moon god, and with his nose came the storm god. Amaterasu was the most gorgeous goddess. Wherever she walked, flowers blossomed at her feet. Everything she did with love, and everything she did with as the way with the feminine. Amaterasu loved to do weaving more than anything else in her life. So she sat in her sacred weaving room, and she wove the most beautiful fabrics which made the wearer glow from within. Amaterasu did everything with love. But it was her brother, the storm god, who was jealous of her. He was so jealous that he made the skies darken, and he moved heaven and earth to make her angry, because she was firstborn. She had the divine right to rule. So Izanagi banished him. But before he left, the storm god, he destroyed Amaterasu's rice fields. He burned down her forests. He rounded up her herd of horses, and he killed every single one, except one. And that one was her favourite. He decapitated her favourite horse. He ripped out its heart, and then he lifted all of its remains and dropped it on her loom in her sacred weaving hall. Amaterasu was devastated. She ran from the village. She went up a hill. She found a cave far in the distance, and she found a big boulder, and she rolled the boulder in front of the door, and she sat inside, and no one heard from her again while she grieved. But it wasn't long before the skies darkened and the crops stopped growing, and Amaterasu was missed. The villagers went one by one up to the cave door, and they knocked on the door, and they begged, and they pleaded, and they cried, and they got angry at Amaterasu for being gone. And down at the bottom of the hill, at the village, the goddess of fun and laughter watched these people come down the hill, angry and frustrated at the goddess. And the goddess of fun and laughter started laughing. She laughed a hearty laugh, so deep and strong. And as she laughed, the children started joining in. Then the young people, and then the adults, they all started laughing with her. And the goddess of fun and laughter said, "Come." And she started walking up the hill. She started walking up to Amaterasu. And as they walked, they played drums. They danced. They lit bonfires along the way. And they all went up to the top of the hill. On the way up to the hill, the goddess of fun and laughter picked up a trinket from the ground. It was nothing really, just a mirror with on a bit of a string. And she just held on to that. And when she got to the cave, they were singing and dancing. There was so much noise. And Amaterasu inside wondered about this noise. But the goddess of fun and laughter found a rock. She stood on the rock. She stripped off her clothes until she was bare and naked, her heaving breasts dangling as she danced erotically in front of the whole crowd. And then she stopped dancing and singing and put out her arms, and the mirror dropped from her hand, and she was silent. And the whole crowd was silent. Amaterasu in the cave was curious. She rolled back the cave door a little bit and she peeked out. And as she did, the light from Amaterasu went out into the world, and she saw on the faces of all the people she loved her own light reflected. And the silence continued, and Amaterasu opened the door a bit more. And she returned back into the world, knowing that without her light, nobody else's light could shine.
Yeah.